I tweeted earlier. I'll tweet again.
Yeah, go for it. We are live now. Like they can see our
We're
faces
live.
and everything.
Oh.
Look out.
Look
Look
at
out. Hello.
Hi.
Look at my face.
Look. Still reading the rules right now, but hey, if you're in the channel, hey, thanks for joining us. If you're catching this later on VOD or on YouTube, why weren't you joining us sooner? Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So
Right?
we're playing Heart RPG, or Heart: The City Beneath. It's an RPG, and we're playing with some friends from Grim and Perilous and Defenders of Cobalt. I'll give everybody a chance to do their plug stuff.
I'm both.
Let's see. You're both. So yeah, but if you're unfamiliar with Heart, it's relatively new in terms of like released to the world. And it's basically a lot of times people are kind of describing it as like Darkest Dungeon. There we go. Darkest Dungeon, the RPG, yes, where you're like constantly delving and horrible things are happening to you the whole time through. You're seeing all sorts of horrors and there's a lot of like dark humor, et cetera, as that's the only way you can kind of deal with it. And that's kind of what we're doing. It's a short run campaign in the sense like it's like 8-ish sessions. And if we like it enough, we might actually do that. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, there's no physical book yet, just PDFs available. Yeah. So let's just do like the plug stuff really quick, and then we'll actually start playing. And while we're doing plug stuff, why don't you, everyone just tell us about your character, something quick. Don't go crazy. Like a sentence, maybe something like that. What your class is or what they do, something like that. So, Chuck.
Oh man, you start with me. Hey, party people. I am Chuck with the Defenders of Cobalt. You can also find me on twitch.tv/ZwyhanderRPG because sadly Matt got saddled with me in all the right ways. And then tonight I am playing Morthos the Mad, the Junk Mage. And just a warning for everyone, I have Googled up Cold Chamber lyrics because, you know, it comes and it takes me there.
Fair enough. Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe from the Defenders of Cobalt. Tonight I'm going to be playing a Deadwalker Gnoll named Kethras, and they sound like edgy boys that do edgy things, and that should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
You're an edgy boy, Joe. Yeah.
Listen, we already knew that about Joe.
Edgy boy kind of undercuts. Okay. All right.
This should be fun.
All right. Matt.
Hey, I'm Matt. I'm the director, the Twitch director over on the Zwyhander official Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Say Twitch one more time. I run Zwyhander over there all the time. And Dark Astral. Okay, you can watch Dark Astral tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time over there. And I am playing Zerk Worthington, a I don't know, 15th generation cleaver or delver, I should say. His family's taken on many jobs, and he's a bit of a madman. He's a very well dressed, dapper looking man with a big bristly mustache, but his mouth and teeth are stained blood red.
What?
And he's got like dried blood in his mustache at all times. But he's a very handsome gentleman, and people are caught off guard when they see his stained blood mouth.
Chuck, you just got yelled at by Nightbot.
I
don't know how to control this thing. It's that AI's taking over. Look out.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
Like Westworld and
so
shit.
much.
Oh man. Okay. Dan. Look at Dan's name, by the way. It was so hard to fit Dan's name into the window.
I could have done something different.
No,
I tried to play off of what the book has
Oh, did Dan just
in there,
die?
and all the elf names were like a multi-part like phrase.
Yeah.
I think you
I don't know.
should've
Did I?
stuck with
Am
steak and
am I dead or
ketchup.
not?
No, you're good. You're good.
I should have just stuck with steak and ketchup, which was my horrible name. That I just thought was a joke. I could have been forced into the heart and penitent. It was going to be terrible and great. But
I think you could have gone steak and ketchup, and like your shield could have just been a giant dinner plate. Like it was perfect.
Ooh.
It's not.
Oh.
Well, I could
Yeah.
change. It's not too
I
late.
don't know. It's locked in now. I don't
Poor,
know.
poor
I'm
life
just gonna have to
decisions,
kill your
Dan.
character session
Poor life
one, and you'll just
decisions.
roll again.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I'll help
Just
you with
roll
that.
steak and ketchup instead.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Oh, look at this.
Uh,
Hey, thanks for subscribing.
Oh, there we go.
My Wi-Fi is being hot garbage today for some reason. So
It's all good.
It learned it from you.
The game. It's
mean,
gonna be in
that's it.
perfect company tonight. So there's gonna be a lot of hot garbage tonight. Melissa.
I am Melissa. I am one of the lollygaggers. So we've got Zweihander RPG podcast that releases on Mondays.
Today.
Adventures in Lollygagging. And then we also do a Twitch show on Thursdays. That's our Ailing Isle campaign on twitch.tv/Zweihander-RPG. Tonight in Heart, I am playing Duvesa. She is a drow witch. And she is a little bit wonky. She is pretty obsessed with kind of things that have to do with the heart. So she's very much sort of the responds to internal stimuli, as you may say, talks to herself, seems to be talking to people that aren't there, constantly looking for symbols in all different kinds of places.
Very cool. And Dustin, the Barracuda thing isn't, if it's in your head now, it's still going to be in by the end of the session because it's integral to what's happening here. I have an idea. Nice. I have in my head a vision. It came to me as I was planning out like the heart stuff, is that every single episode session that we do is going to be a conglomeration of different lyrics from various heart songs. And so we got our first one. So that's what we're going to do. I'm probably going to give up after like the second one because I'm going to run out of lyrics. Let's see. So you covered everything. You covered our podcast. You covered all sorts of. Did you cover our Mutant Year Zero stuff?
No, I didn't.
Mutant Year Zero. We play Mutant Year Zero most Fridays or Saturdays. Like usually 3 a month, something like that. I think we're playing this Saturday at like 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central. We play Gen Lab Alpha. It's pretty fun. Melissa's in that game. A couple other folks are also in that game. So it's a lot of fun. And did we do whatever. There's too many things we have to plug these days. Like by the time we're done plugging, it's like 45 minutes into a show. All right, so let's just get started. So this game, we're gonna kind of be learning it as we go a bit. Because it's different from, I think, what most of us are probably going to be used to. There's a lot of different ways of approaching role-playing games. This is very much a narrative game. At least that's how they constantly refer to it, like as a story-driven game. So a lot of the things that we're doing is supposed to be feeding into like the collective narrative. There's a lot of stuff that we might get used to in our other games, like when we get into combat, like roll for initiative, do stuff in order. That's gone. Like we don't do that. And so there's all sorts of different things that will not necessarily be here. We'll have combat, and hopefully people will die or get horribly mangled over the course of the evening. But it's going to be a little different. How is Chuck going to make it a session without killing Dan's character? Yeah.
It can happen still.
It definitely can happen.
Just so Dustin know, I'm a junk mage who can cast fire. So
I'll hold him down.
And junk mages are they're kind of like drug addicts in a way. There's a little bit of that going on. So like all of the people that you kill are going to have little bags of cocaine or something in them just to pay it forward. It's the least I could do. We'll see.
Look at that, Dustin. Messed up.
Oh gosh.
By the moderator.
What? Nightbot,
wow.
Calm down. What are you doing?
Nightbot's got some aggression.
Look at this. I don't know. I don't know anything. If you're in the channel, figure out why Nightbot's going crazy.
Oh, I got timed out for 600
and Defenders
seconds.
is now also in trouble.
Oh no.
I'm gonna boot Nightbot here in a minute. How do I boot Nightbot?
Nightbot knew I was
terrible.
being threatened with reality.
If you type too many vowels in a word, it bans you.
Wait, that's not right. That's not it. It's commands, right? There we go. That's what I wanted. See if I can get rid of Nightbot. You're just. Oh man.
Get out of here, Nightbot.
Screw you, Nightbot.
Oh, I can't talk for another 9 minutes, 30 seconds.
What's going on?
That's terrible for Chuck.
How do you get rid of Nightbot? Oh my goodness. Does anyone actually know how to get rid of Nightbot?
Nightbot's got their caffeine.
I think you got to go to their website.
You have to go, log into Nightbot through a browser and just disable it.
You go into your settings in Twitch in the browser, and you fucking ban Nightbot.
Okay. I'm gonna try that.
There you go.
Let's see if this works.
Banhammer Nightbot.
Gotta ban the banbot.
Oh my goodness.
I hate Nightbot.
It's amazing. It's a great start.
Well, yeah, you got rid of Nightbot, right?
I really just wanted to spam stuff. That's it. But
I've really loosened its leash, so so that this nonsense doesn't happen anymore, because it used to happen on the channel all the time.
I remember Dustin would get banned like right away.
Dustin be in there. He'd be chatting. He'd be all into the game, and all of a sudden, like, you're in timeout for 9 minutes.
No fun snake.
I know, right?
Oh, he
right.
just switched counts. There you go.
There we are.
I'm gonna spam that one too. Oh man, to threaten Nightbot. Oh my goodness, how do I get rid of him, or her, or it, or whatever it is?
Yeah, we're gonna have a grape it.
Okay, there we go. It's gone. Goodbye, Nightbot.
Goodbye, Nightbot.
Goodbye, Nightbot.
Your reign was
What a
brief.
refresh.
Your reign was brief and terrible. Okay, so let's get going. All right, so I don't know if we're gonna be playing this game right. Someone might yell at us at some point in some channel. But here's where we're starting. I like to start all like dramatically and shit. Camera opens up. We're panning over this old temple underneath the city or the town of Derelictus. We are in tier 1 of the heart itself, or of the city beneath. Still somewhat settled, having some civilized locations here and there, but people are quirky, people are weird. No one who comes down into the heart is quite right in the head. They're either here because they're obsessed with something, they're being forced here against their will, or they are so desperate as to think that this is their last kind of hope. There are a variety of decent places that you can find shelter in, havens throughout the heart. And we're going to begin at one called Athane, the Temple of Sagacity. It's one of the subsidiary temples of the Temple to the Moon Beneath, which is like a major religion for the Drow. And this one is specifically focusing on Sagacity, the idea of wisdom, intelligence, kind of pursuing a higher understanding of what the heart is going on. As the camera kind of pans down, you're seeing all sorts of these different stone apartment buildings. You're seeing a large staircase that's swirling from a very low, rough-hewn stone level all the way to a kind of a higher central forum. And along the way on those staircases, you see a variety of drow and humans and Aelfir with their masks, some of whom are standing and like kind of holding against the wall or the railing of a staircase. Some are falling asleep on the steps themselves. A few are orating about a variety of topics. Like they're going on and on about these strange graffiti and pamphlets that have been popping up in alleyways across the temple. Others are arguing about what's the better condiment to have on their food every night. Is it ketchup? Is it mustard? Is it something else? I don't know. And these debates are raging on in this sort of monotonous and awful way. They're all dressed in like old Grecian type togas and things like that. And as the camera continues to wind down that stairwell, down to that kind of more rough area of the temple, we continue to pan out, and we can see along the way, every 30, 50, 100 feet or so, we see a body on the ground. We see dressed in very much the same robe garb that we saw before, with little, white tarnished in some way. And then finally the camera is gonna keep going down, and we see it zoom in really carefully on the face of this female drow who is in some strange way in horrible pain. You see her jaw kind of suddenly shifting, and we can hear almost like grinding metal on metal or bone on bone in the inside as it seems to dislodge itself and shoot forward. And her face, pale the way that drow very much are, is turning this very pale blue and then red and then purple, as if she's having trouble breathing. You see some kind of briny, brackish water coming out of the eyes, of the nostrils, out of the ears, and then finally a sudden stop, and she falls forward. And when she does so, we see a couple people. We see Zerk, we see Tarnished-Steel-Endures, and we see, let's see, who else might be there? We see Morthos the Mad, and they are with a tall, slender, very old man in a toga outfit, and very, very pale, with all sorts of really unfortunately bushy arm hair, and he says, "You'll see, this is what's been happening for so long now. And if you continue down the path, you'll see more and more deeper they go each day. They just wake up in the middle of whatever oration we're having and begin to just march down the forum steps and out into the tunnels and down further into the tears of the heart. If we cannot solve this, if we cannot try to protect the temple from this devious onslaught of our minds, then we will not be able to debate. And as you know, it is very important at the Temple of Sagacity for us to continue discourse, or catastrophe will befall us all." And so he comes up, and he's kind of pointing down at this body that's just laying flat there. You all have been recruited here to deal with this problem of various professors and faculty and theologians of different ages that fall asleep. And when they wake up, they are not themselves anymore. They lose control. Their eyes glaze over. Their jaws begin to dislodge and reshape. They begin to bleed brinish and brackish water out of their orifices, and they leave. And they seem to be marching in this direction, down this long, disgusting, and lonesome corridor. So what do you guys want to do with that?
Do they always leave the same direction?
Yes, always this way. They don't, some, the younger, get further, but some, the older, like this poor woman. I knew her. We went to seminary together. She was quite old, like 45 or something. Yeah, Yoke.
It's like they're being called.
Yes. We've tried to communicate with them, but once they wake, we can't. They are someone else, and we are running out of orators. And if we run out, who will be here to continue the most important work of arguing academically on end over anything? If the discourse does not continue, who knows what might befall us?
Has there been any like attempt to like restrain them? Like, do they harm themselves on their way?
They begin to snap at us, and he holds up his arm, and he's got like a bite on his arm. Not this one, but a different one. The jaw grows bigger. The underjaw comes out further, and it's very gruesome. And then when we let go, they leave us alone. But it is very brutal. We hired others to try to do this for us, but they failed. Only one returned, and he is a babbling fool now.
When while they're talking, I'm gonna wander over the body just nonchalantly, and I'm gonna pull up my hunting knife, and I'm gonna carve a chunk out of the dead guy, and I'm just gonna sample some of that meat. I'm gonna start eating it and chewing on it, and what can I see what I can pick up?
Okay,
from flesh.
Okay, so you would probably get. Do you have Warren already as a domain?
No.
Okay, so for the rest of the session, you get Warren. So in Heart, there's skills, which is basically what you can do, and then there's domains, and that's basically what you know, like it's knowledge of different elements, right? And so he's, Zerk's biting into something, and for the foreseeable future, you have a sudden understanding of tight corridors, and you have a brief flash of these dripping metallic and stone corridors and a very large and open underground pool. The surface of that water it's impenetrable. It's dark and gross, and then immediately like kind of the vision goes away.
Do I gain any skills as well? I also have desperate measures. Oh no, someone that you have recently. I didn't recently kill him. All right, I gained no skills.
Okay.
This is not my kill.
Okay. Or was it?
All right, so I guess
he's the big bad the whole time.
So I'm gonna hunch down, got my big knife out, just cutting off hunks of meat, just looking off in the distance.
Seeing Zerk do this too, I would want to squat down next to Zerk and be like, if they're leaking this water, cut into their chest to see if there's water there too.
Oh, indeed. Takes the knife and kind of flourishes it.
How
just
have
plunges it right down into the chest and cuts it open.
decency. And he's just like horrified. We did our TA ship together. And as you start ripping through the chest, it just the water just spills out.
Just move him away for a minute.
So the water does spill out?
Yes, there's water inside the lungs. Like
His
the lungs
water
are
broke.
just
A
filled.
mild ammonia to me.
Mild to say the least.
Well, I think there's one solution here. And he walks over to him and he pulls his knife. We cut off all your eyelids and you can't sleep. He starts brandishing the knife in front of the guy.
No. There's two solutions here.
Oh,
You
Maybe
either
even
cut
more.
off their eyelids or you block their path with fire. Fire stops water. It is the way of the world. I've seen it. I once
I am
made
curious.
ramens and then I used too much fire and then there was no water.
And as you turn around, you see that there's another fairly elderly looking chap starting to move forward.
Oh, I
Like,
used my fire spell and I cast fire on him.
so, and he's just inflamed now, but he's still moving forward.
Well,
The gown is burned up, and you're seeing his scarred, wrinkly old
Gosh.
man flesh.
oh, gross! I'm gonna
It's a
shoot
horror
with my
game.
bow.
Okay. All right, so you shoot him in the bow. It definitely hits, no problem. And because he's not trying to dodge or anything, and you see like a little splurt, and then he falls down as well. And the guy who's been here with you, he's like, the point was to try to save these people. And then you see him just go, we have found many substances to help us stay awake, but some are not as capable of enduring the torture of not having sleep.
what do you got there?
Oh, geez.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. And then you see him take like a flask and he starts drinking it. It is a bit of cafe. And he kind of hands it over to you. Take it.
No.
I like my solution better.
What was that powder that you had on your arm?
It was dry skin. I'm very old.
Can I have some of that?
Oh, geez.
I don't want any
Yeah,
of
I don't
that.
think I want any of that.
Yes.
I thought you had cocaine. If that's not it, I'm not in.
What is this cocaine you speak of? So
You should get some
So-
lotion or something there, old man.
Do they act any different the day before they wake up?
I wonder if they have problems
Have you
breathing
heard
ahead of that,
anything-
too. Have
Do you
they,
notice
like,
anything out of the ordinary?
Oh shit! It's just COVID.
nothing.
Oh, shit.
Oh, that's it. You're
Oh.
demonetized.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, there is no behavior outside of what I have already described. They, and sometimes when people go to bed, they wake up. It almost seems, and I have heard from others, and I have seen some myself of a very, peculiar happenings in the dreams we have, the memories. They were there, but they seem to be foggy, cloudy. But it could just be from being tired, you know? It's just a byproduct.
Have they left recently?
Who? What do you mean?
I'm asking the old man. Like, have any of these people that start spitting up water, have they left your
Yes.
school recently?
No, they are all members of the temple. Some very high level scholars, others young students hoping to ascend. But we are running out. We have sent
Dude.
scouts down the tunnel to see how far they go, and they go. Some seem to survive for a great distance. It's as if they're going somewhere.
Have there been any different visitors, travelers, people in your, that are uncommon to this area?
No, we get our normal pilgrims, and we get folks like ourselves passing through looking for work, but nothing that I think would be responsible for this.
Do we know of anyone that's openly opposed to the discourse and things that you guys do here?
Only those above, but they would not return to the bottom beneath. It is beneath them, not just literally, but figuratively as well. Go down here. We left
Solid
above
logic
so
there.
long ago that to have academic freedom and principles. So while this conversation is happening, Probably Duvesa, maybe Kethras as well, are elsewhere. Maybe meandering. Maybe this happened a few minutes ago and you caught up, or maybe this happens a few minutes from now. But as you're moving around the city a bit, you notice there are quite a few people who live here that have nothing to do with the forum itself. They're just support people, or they've just found some measure of safety on these grounds. There's nothing too ornate. The main beautiful architecture here is that central forum, that kind of spire of huge wide staircases that goes up. But everything else is just sort of like these crude, built into the walls, very pragmatic, like dormitories and apartments, alleyways between each. But as the two of you are kind of meandering around, at some point, Duvesa, you hear a lot of chatter about the recent rise of strange graffiti and pamphleting that has been popping up around the town a bit. And when you overhear these two, they look like very young humans arguing over something to do with the metaphorical benefits of having artistry to the graffiti. And one person is arguing that no, the work of these strange creatures of swine all over the walls is defacing the value of our city. And the other was like, no, but they have such artistic merit. We should welcome this type of artistry. We shouldn't dismiss it. And so there's this in your mind. You likely hear this idea of swine kind of catches your attention.
So Duvesa is going to go over to where they're talking, and as she's approaching, you're if anyone was watching, and Kethras, if we're walking near each other, you'd probably kind of hear this like, we should go talk to them. We should find out where it is, right? We should. And then she kind of goes over and interrupts. Where is this graffiti that you're speaking of?
And they kind of point in a couple different directions, down that alleyway, down this alleyway, and then and away from the forum itself.
Where's the most recent graffiti that you've seen pop up?
And they point to kind of what looks to be a small like cafe. And they say, go behind the cafe in that direction, like kind of over to the west, so to speak. If you travel behind it, you'll find some of the some folks are trying to clean it up.
We should go take a look.
All right.
So when the two of you head back, you can see that there is some elderly man in an apron, likely a worker at this cafe, who's scrubbing away at what looks to be some kind of strange painting, just really an outline, like a stencil. And then as you step into the back of this area, there's trash all over the place. And Duvesa, you notice on the ground that there are dozens and dozens of all of these different pamphlets that are showing something about, like there's like pigs, like there's being drawn on them in all sorts of directions.
Don't pick one up.
And when you start kind of flipping through them, why don't you go ahead and roll? This will do our first roll. So in Heart, a roll is comprised of two components. There's skill and plus a specific domain. And then difficulty is most of the time it's standard, but there's going to be times when it'll be called risky or dangerous. And Heart uses a D10 pool. And then it's a non-binary system of success. So depending on what you roll, you might be success with some stress, or you might fail with stress. You might crit fail, succeed, etc. So make this a discern haven roll. So do you have discern or haven?
I do have discern. I do not have haven.
Okay, so that means you can roll this at standard, and you can add 2d10. Kethras, if you wanted to assist her, you could assist her, which would give her an extra d10. But
okay, do I have to have one of those?
You don't have to actually have it. But what will happen is that if she were to fail or take stress, you would also take that stress.
Oh, okay. But if I assist, it just adds another die onto it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So I just hit the standard button.
Okay, so go ahead and hit standard, and then punch in 3. So you have 1d10 just by default, 1d10 for your skill, and 1d10 for Kethras aiding you.
Alrighty, let's see how this goes.
And so this is our first real roll. Okay. And so as the two of you are kind of going through the trash on the ground, you like this man turns around who's been cleaning the walls and sees you and mistakes the two of you as like the actual graffiti artists and the litterers, and starts beating on both of you with a broom. And so both of you will actually roll some stress now.
Oh, jeez.
Both of you can take. We'll take it 2 points of stress. We'll put this towards. It doesn't really. We'll put this towards fortune, probably bad luck, just the like the lack of confidence, that kind of thing.
So we add to fortune stress.
Yep.
Okay.
So add to fortune stress. If you have any fortune protection, it's just a flat resistance. You cut it off, and then other than that.
Okay.
And so the two of you get run out of this alleyway, but not before, Duvesa, you're able to kind of grab this piece of paper, this aberrant print. This all seems to have been printed, like some kind of printing press, and they were all like singular pigs. But there's this one strange aberrant one that you look at, and Kethras, you notice her just staring at it, and it's a 3-headed pig. You see these three, like this pig that has one kind of out, one rib cage, one out the other. And you watch as it just begins, the paper begins to suddenly ruffle, and crawling up out of the picture is this tiny, small, 3-headed pig that crawls up Duvesa's arm and just plops down on her shoulder and sits there like it's like nothing. It's like it's just a normal thing, a normal day in the world.
Duvesa also responds like, this is nothing, and just like, oh. Then kind of points to Kethras like, see, it's a thing. It's the thing.
But this is a.
Thanks.
Do most pamphlets do this?
It doesn't matter. This is the thing I've been telling you that I've been seeing. I keep seeing it, and here it is, and it's right here. It's on my shoulder.
Oh. Why does it have 3 heads?
I don't know. I just see them. I didn't invent them. I don't draw them. Other people draw them. I see them. I look for them, and now here it is.
Okay.
So, go ahead.
Is there any sort of like check I could make that would see the relevance of this? This seems like not normal. Maybe like a symbol that some organization might use or something.
You can do a discern occult check.
Discern occult. But if I don't have any, if I don't have either of those,
you can always roll 1d10. Yeah.
1d10.
When we get into like risky and dangerous checks, it might reduce your. That actually takes d10s out of your results. So there's times in which we might have to roll it slightly differently, but for the most part, it's just that. So, but every roll, there's a risk of stress. Every single roll. So it's your call.
I might hold off on that until I'm
okay.
More...
And it's good that you did, because while the two of you are out in the middle of the forum and everyone's kind of looking at you. As this heavy man with his apron is chasing you, you notice that there's a figure staring at you, sitting in the cafe, right next to the alleyway that you were down, and they kind of look at you, and then suddenly this sense of recognition comes over you, and they stand up and they walk in your direction, and they have these two thuggish figures with them, these two friends, and the three of them, all drow, begin to surround you, ignoring Duvesa at this point, not even paying attention to the pig. And one of them gets up right into your face, and they say, "I know who you are. I know what you did. And soon, the deacons will as well."
I don't know what you're talking about, bud. I'm gonna try and push past him.
And so as you push past, one of the big guys kind of steps in your way. "Not that easy, friend. You think you can get away with what you did? We're bringing you to the deacons." And so they both grab hold of you on either side and start to...
Do I recognize any of these people?
You have been tasked sometimes with doing some less than ethical and moral jobs. It's likely that this person might have been a victim of one of those. They might know who you are and what you do, or...
Oh, right. That's not good.
So to peel back the curtain, because it's a new game, the way this game works with XP is that everybody takes beats and these are things that you have to accomplish in the game. And so the thing with the pig, that was a Duvesa beat. What I'm doing now, I'm not going to do this for all of them, by the way, but this is sort of like a Kethras beat. So one of your beats might be speaking to this.
Might be related. Okay. So they're trying to pull me to the deacons, they said?
So they're trying to drag you over to the deacons, which you imagine is like the cops for this temple, and they know who you are, and they want to reveal who you really are to them.
Okay. I think I want to do Enter the Gray, but I'm not sure how that works exactly. But it's basically like, looks like the equivalent of entering like the shadow or whatever.
Yeah, so it's like a space between worlds, and Deadwalkers can do that pretty easily. They can also bring other people with them if they want. You can stay in it for like a situation and get out relatively easy. The longer you stay in the gray, the worse it is. And anybody else you bring into the gray with you, if they try to leave, it's harder for them. They actually have to make a check to get out. So if you just go in by yourself, you're like, that's fine. Or you can bring in Duvesa, or you can bring in these schmucks with you, or whatever it is.
And leave them there.
But they're totally ignoring her, right?
They are. They've pushed past her and they don't care.
Okay. I think I have one that I think one of my other abilities makes that easier to do.
Yeah, some of the
Sudden death.
Might be sudden death, yeah.
Okay. I'm looking up.
I'm just not familiar with like the terms yet.
So, if you want to
How
enter
they
the
work.
gray, let's see. I'm looking at Enter the Gray. That takes around 10 minutes. Says it takes 10 minutes of preparation.
Okay. Then sudden death says it no longer takes 10 minutes to cast. It's instantaneous.
Perfect. Okay, so then
It's risky.
so then
It's risky.
do you have? So you're rolling a delve plus religion
bring
check at risky.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
So-
if he brings others, it's risky. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matt was a Deadwalker briefly, and
In a past life.
in a past
Yeah.
life. Okay, so roll.
Thanks, Joe.
So roll delve plus religion at standard. Do you have delve or
Okay.
religion?
I have delve.
So-
I don't think I have religion.
Okay, so then hit the standard button, the macro, and then put in 2 of your dice because you have
Standard.
and then roll for that.
Where's that macro at?
You could put in your macro bar if you want to.
You have to do it in that little 3-bar menu like we
Oh, I
do
see
for
that.
The collection,
Okay.
for that other
There you go.
game.
or you can just roll 2d10.
Standard, and then 2, you said?
1 for base and then 1 for the skill.
Okay.
And you manage to effortlessly. Are you? And you're just going in by yourself. You said, right?
Right, yeah, I'm not taking her with
And you
me.
just disappear, and Duvesa, you watch as he just disappears in front of you,
Blinks
like, and maybe you take this opportunity while they're confused, like, where did that fiend go? To slip away.
Yep, I'll step back and
Deuces.
try to have a conversation with my new little pig friend.
Okay, so we'll say a little while later, all of you manage to. Kethras will spend some time in the gray, this weird in-between area, like almost like an afterlife or a purgatory where everything is quite literally gray. And you manage to slip back out of the sight range. You find an alley or something to block your, no problem. And
while I'm in there, can I take a look at the graffiti and see if it looks any different or any of the pamphlets? Does anything
doesn't
that
have
we've been
color.
looking at- Doesn't have color. But
Yeah, the
does
color
it
disappeared. Other than that,
look
no.
any different? Okay. Okay. That's fine then. I'll just
Okay.
pop out somewhere where I think I'm safe from them.
And so you probably move towards the place where you know that the rest of your delving party was, and all of you are now, we'll say, together, catching up with one another about what this head sage that you've been speaking with. So Zerk, Morthos, Tarnished Steel, kind of fill the two of you in on what they learned, and then what do you guys want to do?
It seems like a fair number of people have been wandering into the depths, out of mind.
Does
Out
it
of
seem to
control.
only be people from the forum that are getting targeted?
Seems like it. We didn't specifically ask, but we didn't hear of anyone else.
Okay.
Where did that
he's
piggy come from?
He's still nearby if you need to ask more questions.
Jimmy, meet Jimmy. Just,
Jimmy looks tasty.
no,
Are all three
no.
of them Jimmy or just one of them?
Jimmy, Tommy, and John.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah, they're joining. I've been seeing them. Remember, I told you the things I've been seeing, and then it was on a piece of paper, and I picked it up, and now he's here. So whenever we finish this thing, we're gonna go have a chat, and I'm gonna learn stuff. It's gonna be good.
Oh, all right.
So, the sage comes over and kind of urgently. So you will undertake this. We will open up the treasuries on your return and reward you with riches of whatever you require. We have a veritable big place with treasures. I'm sorry, I'm very tired.
It's still cut off your eyelids, old man.
No,
Fix that for
I'm
me.
okay.
We'll take the job. And he just grins and his blood-stained teeth to show.
He kind of leans back.
Twirls his dagger in his hand, his hunting knife.
Yes. Okay.
Not to shatter your worldview or anything, but I know people that sleep with their eyes open.
And you look at his eyelids; they're just way too heavy. There's no way anyone of that age can keep them open that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some toothpicks or something.
Yeah. All right. So, by the way, Duvesa, you go ahead and you can put on your character sheet. You got a new resource for your pig-like creature. So this is a D8 cursed.
Nice.
And
What are the D8, D10? What does
okay,
that
this is one of the things that's hard to wrap my head around sometimes. So the resources in the game, like there's different tiers. So like D4 is like the lowest tier, and then D12 is the highest tier. So that like each step is kind of its rarity or how valuable it is. And in the game, if you ever want to do things like trade for other resources, or if you ever want to heal at different places that you can go meet with people, you can exchange resources of a particular die value to gain X amount of like resistance back. So like the two of you took some resistance, and so you might want to try to find like a fortune, somebody in a landmark somewhere who might be a haunt that allows you to clear your fortune, and so resources can be given to that person to then get their services. So resources is like a catch-all term for like money, bartering, all that kind of stuff.
Okay. And then the different like subcategories of resource might be ones that people are looking for or something like that.
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, because there's some of them are going to have things like tags, cursed. Like she had certain haunts might only want cursed items or something like that. And if you give it to them, you'll get some stuff back. Cool. All right. Anything else that we want to do here before we begin our first delve?
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
I think I'm ready to.
Go crazy or die.
Yeah,
Okay.
go crazy or
Trying.
die. That sounds right.
Yeah, it calls.
So I'm going to put some...
I'm halfway down Crazy Street, so
I'm gonna try some of this built-in tabletop audio stuff for
Ooh.
Spire and
I'm
Heart.
curious how the triple
Oh,
pig.
Is the heart
does-
stuff now in Roll20?
Not yet, only the Spire stuff, but one of the Spire songs is The Heart. So I'm just gonna start
Oh,
with
nice.
that one. And
There
put
you
it on
go.
Uploading some
repeat.
into my game and it was too big to put into Roll20.
Yeah, you gotta shrink it. You gotta like reduce it to like a medium quality MP3 or something like that to get it under 20 megs. Okie doke. So we're delving. So I know everyone here hasn't read the rules. So a delve, if you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, you may have heard of it. There used to be a concept called skill challenges that were fairly regularly in the game. A delve is very similar to that, in that you're kind of traveling from one location to another, one landmark to another landmark, and the delve has its own resistance level. And so over the course of that travel, I will literally throw a variety of obstacles and weird interactions that you all have to use your skills and your domains and your creativity to deal with. And as you do that successfully, you'll reduce the resistance level of the delve, and that will allow you to get to where you're going. Remember that anytime you make a roll in here, there's the risk of taking stress, and there's different categories of stress. Blood is physical, like it's physical damage, basically. There's mind, which is, sanity, clarity. There's echo, which is when the heart kind of messes almost with your spirit and your sense of like who you are. There's supplies, which is the catch-all for like rope and torches. You don't have to keep track of all of those things specifically. That's just assumed to be part of the supplies resistance. And then there's fortune, which is like luck, confidence, etc. So you also can potentially find connections, and what that allows you to do is it allows you to establish a shortcut between two landmarks, so that in the future, if you try to make this delve, that it's a quicker and safer route. So there's those things to look for. So any questions or anything? Okay.
Ready to roll and see what we find.
All right. So as you depart, you see behind you that the man that you've been speaking with kind of waves at you, and Morthos, as you walk away, you feel a kind of a small, strange thing in your pocket, and you look in there. There's this small bag of these kind of bluish white crystals, and when you look at him, he's got a kind of little finger to his nose look, and he says,
gosh.
"To stay awake." So
What a happy day.
yeah. So you can add like a D4. What's it called? We'll call it a D4.
Questionable substance.
Bolt, maybe.
Narcotics.
We'll call it a cult. Sure, a cult. Yeah, we'll call it a cult. That's fine. So D4 a cult. It's really small. Okay. So you start traveling down, and it quite literally is down. You start leaving the area, and it's mostly stone. But you see all along the way there's these different rafters and molding like that are trying to hold back the natural state of the heart. Like you're seeing rough-hewn stone competing with this very beautiful attempt at creating like this wonderful mosaic leading up to this revered temple. And as you start to weave down this long winding staircase going deeper into the heart itself, you see these little metal kind of these little metal molding bits, and all these mage lights begin to flash on at time to time as you pass by it, almost as if it's like motion sensing. The early parts of the delve are pretty simple, to be honest. You start traveling downwards, and every 100 or so steps you find another body of one of these academics, one of these sages that is laying there face down in some excruciating pain, face contorted, jaw shut out even further, like the largest underbite you can imagine. And when you finally descend to a flattened level off of these stairs and continue forward, the bodies become less frequent, but every so often you do encounter one, as if certain people just manage to hold their breath for a really, really long time. But after about an hour, you hear a weird clattering, like a metal on metal, a scraping, and then following that scraping, like this horrible metal thump, as if two heavily metallic objects are crashing into one another. Looking ahead, you can see that whatever was keeping the haven's architecture in some semblance of organization has started to split, and you're kind of seeing tunnels jutting out in different directions. But you can hear this happening as you try to discern. I would say, Zerk, the cleaver, you can probably best. It's like the second tunnel from the right.
Devesa is actually going to interrupt kind of the process here for a second. Devesa has a skill that, this will hopefully be beneficial for others. So Devesa has a skill, and let me pull it up here for a second. It is called Crimson Mirror. So essentially, I'm going to do a roll first and hopefully be successful. Because what I can do is basically drop some blood in a mirror and see 3 omens, and I kind of generally describe them, and then it helps us roll with mastery if we get to something that I saw in an omen. So we kind of have to do this before the delve starts.
And rolling with mastery is basically getting an extra D10 to your pool.
Nice.
So first, let's see if I can get the roll, because otherwise I'll describe this really cool thing and not be able to do it. So it's Discern plus Occult,
Okay.
which I have both of those.
3
so
dice.
I will roll 3. Let me get back over here. So that's going to be standard 3.
So by the way, what this little macro thing's doing is it's in standard it just takes the highest, but when you roll risky, it drops the highest die first, and then it picks your next highest, and then when you do dangerous, it drops the highest 2, and then takes your third. So the more difficult it gets.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's successful.
Okay, I was successful, and I don't get any stress, so even better.
Okay. What do you see?
So the 3 things that I am going to see is I am going to see something that we are unhappy or afraid of get burned to a crisp by Morthos.
Okay. Got it.
I am going to see some sort of barrier or obstacle that we're able to pass through.
Okay.
And I'm going to see someone not be feeling well and feel better. So probably like a heal worked or something like that.
Okay.
Gotta get some spit out there.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Got it. It's interesting. 2 of those, I can already know exactly how they could manifest. 1 of them, not sure yet, but 2 of them for sure. Okay.
Okay, now we can continue with the dialogue.
All right. So Zerk, second from the right, you hear. You're confident that this is where this is coming from.
Okay.
You're not sure if this is the right tunnel to go down to continue to delve, but you're certain this is where that sound is coming from.
Hmm.
And it's just- how many tunnels split at this point?
There's like 6 different ways, counting
6.
the one you can.
I'm gonna say, hold up. I'm going to go take a closer look, and I'm gonna try and sneak up there. But before I do so, I'm gonna sit down on a rock, and I'm gonna take my very fancy shoes off, my socks, and hand them to Kethras, or whatever your name is.
Kethras.
Kethras. I'll just call you Kethras. Hold my shoes for me, and I'm gonna walk barefoot into the tunnel, and I'm gonna roll sneak. So the reason I'm going barefoot is I secrete
Oh God.
from my skin flammable adhesive, acting
Oh,
as
my.
a sort of volatile glue.
Oh,
So
Oh,
Morthos
no.
and I are good friends.
we're
'cause
best
I
friends.
line him up and he knocks him down.
Oh,
So I'm
man.
gonna start secreting this like really volatile heavy glue as I walk through here.
Okay.
And extra flammable.
Okay. So, and you want to try to kind of sneak down this
Sneak.
hallway?
I'm gonna go. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll do. So it's sneak is the skill, and
Yep.
then you can take technology if you want, because there's a lot of metal. Or you could do Warren, because it's kind of
Warren,
cramped
okay.
as well. One of those 2
Okay,
domains.
I have Warren.
Okay,
And this is a standard test
standard's fine.
and 3 dice, right?
Yeah. So it should be base, skill, domain, critical success.
Ooh,
Uh,
nice.
So with
You
it
secrete like the best of them.
I really feel like the sentence, like whenever you start a sentence with the phrase "I secrete," like it just never goes well after that. Like there's just never a good way to finish.
It's downhill from there.
This
Okay.
is definitely the exception.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So what it says with the critical success, it increases outgoing stress. So whenever you on a delve, whenever you roll for tests, if you succeed, you get to roll a stress die to reduce the resistances of the delve. And once you get the resistances of the delve down to 0, then you make it to where you're going.
Right.
Now, this is a D4 delve, and so increasing it by 1 size would mean Matt can now roll a D6, and that's how much this is going to subtract from the resistance. So go ahead and
So roll a D6?
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
we've only just begun.
yes, this is what I like.
Just
Yeah, I know.
to the
Jeff's like,
universe.
You're taking after me with those dice rolls.
Okay, so as you very carefully stick to the shadows as best you can, your stealth is allowing these little automated mage lights not to even notice you, and you're able to peek around of this strange jutting of metal, like a ragged a ragged wall, and you can see what looks to be like pipes and wires coming out of it. And when you follow them back about a foot or two, you can see like a big wall of rough rock. As you peek around that little cutout, you can see banging its head into some kind of metallic doorway, like a double door that's closed, is this large metallic bull or oxen that it's just clickly back, and you see it run up and slam its head into the actual door. There's this long chain that is attached to its neck and flailing around behind it, and then it drags. You can see that something's attached to it. From this distance, you're not sure what. It's probably a good, it's probably at ranged, to use the Heart's term, but it's got something attached to that chain.
I'm just looking at my my abilities to see if there's anything I can use here.
And everybody else is welcome to pitch in. You don't have to wait. If we could very easily say Zerk leads you.
Yeah. If you guys want to follow me, I find the path of least resistance.
Sure.
I would be behind you then. Yeah.
Sure.
Avoid my secretions.
I'm good at sneaking too. So yeah.
Mind my secretions, Kethras, and hold my shoes.
So all of you at this point can see within ranged this mechanical bull, this grimy metal that doesn't even look silver or gray anymore. It's rusted and old. It definitely has different types of oil stains secreting from in between some of the paneling. And it seems that there's a doorway that's just trying to bust into, and it just is struggling to do so. And it has a leash attached to it with something on the other end of the leash that you can't quite make out.
Does it seem to be making progress on this door?
The door seems pretty sturdy, so it doesn't... You're not sure how long it's been here, but the door looks in pretty decent shape, so probably not.
Could I sneakily adjust my positioning to get a better perspective on what is on the far end of this chain?
Sure. So we'll do the same rolls, sneak plus Warren or tech. One of those two is fine.
I only have sneak, so that would just be rolling 2d10.
2d10. Standard's
and
fine.
that's standard.
Ouch. Okay.
Critical success.
Wow.
Okay.
Nice.
I'm great, just so you know.
I'll treat this like a boon, which is basically the same thing. Roll a d6.
Oh.
And then that's
Roll a 6, Chuck.
roll a 1, Chuck.
Be a real short adventure.
I rolled a 2.
I'll take it. That's fair. All right. Got it. So as you get a little bit closer, and you're almost in sort of melee range, you're just a few feet away from it.
Okay.
And you can see this long chain, rusted and grimy, and there seems to be a hand stuck in it, but it only kind of goes up to the forearm. And when you look closer at the door, you can see that there's all sorts of little blood stains on the door. You would probably surmise that there is something attached to this. Maybe this is a pet, a beast of burden, and maybe the door interfered. It shut too fast.
Okay.
Yeah.
It pinched a hand off.
There you go.
And now the creature is trying to get back to the pinched off section.
Exactly.
Mm.
Do we see any panel or
Buttons,
way to open
levers?
this door? Yeah.
There does in fact seem to be some kind of utility panel right next to the door.
Well, I
What
can
other
try
gray
and
am I able
just...
to interact with?
Dan, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, if we need, I can kind of act as a distraction if somebody wants to try and interact with that panel.
I like that idea.
Yeah, go for it, Dan.
Yeah.
Who wants to
fun.
Who wants
I'm
to
gonna
interact?
stay away from Tarnished-Steel-Endures when he.
I want to try and. Am I able to interact with things when I'm in the gray?
I think I'm not sure actually. That's a good question.
Yeah, that might be even easier.
You'd have to take a look at it. From my understanding is that it's like a completely different. It's almost like the ethereal plane, sort of.
Yeah,
where,
that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah. So
You can see and hear it, but
but
can't
you can't
touch it.
physically do anything. You're like not Whoopi Goldberg. You're like Patrick Swayze.
Listen, you said the wrong name, but I knew right where the fuck you were going.
Oh, it's great to play with people who get my references. Melissa.
Only Matt and I.
All my players
Right
are
away.
so young, so whenever I mention like a movie from the 90s, they're like the 90s.
What?
Doesn't
I
know
wasn't
about
even
making
born
ghost
yet.
pottery.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for Joe to hit 21.
Yeah, he'll be there eventually.
All right, so Dan, you're trying to distract. Who's going for the panel?
I'll go for the panel. I have another question too on
Sure.
the sudden death thing. It has like all these list outs of minor, liminal, entropy, and blood sacrifice. I don't know. Is that like I choose one of them when I use this, or?
This is under your Deathwalker stuff or Deadwalker.
Yeah, Deadwalker.
Let me go to it really quick.
This is the sudden death.
All right, so
So
looking for sudden death here. Okay, so
Yeah.
those things are minor advancements. So when you start with your character, you get 1 major and you get 3 minor. So in order to get those 3 minors, you would have to have first gotten sudden death. And then the next,
okay.
yeah. So like you could have started if you wanted with sudden death and all 3 of those minors,
Oh,
but that
I
would have
didn't
taken
realize that.
all of it, and you couldn't have used
Right.
minors anywhere. So right now you're just straight
Okay.
sudden death.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. So I'll say one of you can do the roll, and the other can get the assist die, since this is like a combo effort with distraction and then with actually going for the panel. So it could be another sneak roll for Kethras if we want, or it could be a compel roll for Tarnished-Steel-Endures.
I feel like the sneak rolls probably are better chance.
And it's the same thing. Technology or Warren is fine. Is the
Okay.
for the domain.
Sneak. I don't have either of those. I just have. I think Desolate's my only domain.
I have technology, but I don't think that helps us in this case. So.
I have
It would
discern.
actually. This is a big robot, basically.
Okay.
You're dealing with or an automaton. So you would get if you did it, Dan. That means you would get
Okay.
2d10, 1 from base, 1 from your domain, and then you'd get a 3rd from Kethras assisting you.
Okay,
Mhm.
well maybe that's a better decision then.
Okay. So go ahead and roll a standard check. I'm gonna ask for how many dice. Pick 3, and
Yep.
that's it. Okay, so that's a partial
Success.
success. Yeah, so you'll take stress. This will be a D4. I'll roll it. I got it up here. Got a little thing I do. So you take 2 points. So this is what's gonna happen. As Kethras begins to get his positioning to sneak past, Tarnished-Steel-Endures steps out. You say something, boogity boogity, whatever, and
I have a big shield. I could just bang on it. Yeah.
and this thing comes charging directly at you. And as it does, it sort of knocks you backwards. And thankfully, you have a shield, or else who knows what could have happened. And it just sort of slides you across the ground until it has pinned you against the wall. And you can feel like this rock just kind of digging into your back. So we'll say you take 2 points of blood stress.
Fortunately, I have 3 protection, so
And
Nice.
so you're good there. And this thing is just continuing to just sort of push you into the wall. And then Kethras, you make it up to the actual panel. And what do you want to do?
Am I familiar with these panels, like to open it? I imagine.
You've probably
Or is it something
encountered them
weird?
at some point. Unless you have tech, I would say you're probably not an expert, but you've certainly come and
hopefully you don't need a hand to open it.
Right.
Now, I will also say that this probably will trigger one of Duvace's visions, a barrier or obstacle that you can pass through. So I'm going to say you walk right up and you start messing around with it, and it just opens easily enough. Like you hit the button and it just opens. You don't have to roll anything. And as you
Nice.
see it pop open,
Nice.
you can see that there is a drow that is laying on the ground in a pool of blood and looking incredibly, what's the word? Dead.
No saving them then.
Completely and utterly dead. This doesn't look great.
Oh.
And at the sound of the opening of the door, the bull, this little bull oxen thing will stop, will turn around, will come charging through the door, but it won't go after Kethras. Instead, it just like a pet. It'll start just going and nuzzling up against its dead owner, like, and it sort of flops down mechanically and rustily next to it. Sadly.
Oh man.
What else? Do I
Catch
see anything
feelings.
else in this room? Does this lead to like a house, or is it?
This
like,
definitely seems to just be a continuation of where you're going. I would say Tarnished Steel, you probably recognize this as part of the Vermissian. Like, this is likely you're seeing bits and pieces appear in between the stone of likely a section of the
This could be a way for us to move along a little quicker, even.
possibly.
I'm able to detach the hand from the shackle.
Yeah, no problem.
Can I chew on it?
Absolutely.
Do I gain anything from my consumption of this drow flesh?
So you only get like domains from conceiving it if it's
All right.
right? Isn't that right?
When you eat a resource, you gain any domains associated with that resource till the end of this situation.
Okay, so I would give it Wild and Haven.
Oh, and you gain an appropriate knack if you already have access to it. So I have Wild already.
Okay. Well, the skill, I think, yeah. And so I would say, so then that's your mastery then. So you would have a mastery in Wild for the rest of the night. And all of you just watching him, just chomping away, you know, like it's fish sticks.
We're used to it. No shame here. Also, can we get to the body, or is the bowl like?
The bull seems to not care about all of you, and it seems to be, as best you can tell, is incredibly distraught at the sight of its master dead. And they're just.
I was gonna cut its ear off and eat ear, but I thought the bull was gonna attack me.
The
Set up
real
the drow
question
fingers.
is can we adopt the bull somehow?
You can try to make. You can if you want to make a compel technology check.
Ride the bull.
How does that do?
So you just make a compel. As a compel is a skill, and then technology is the domain. And so you're trying to essentially make this thing do what you want. You're seeing if you have control over this mechanical bull.
Okay. Would that be standard?
Yeah, standard's fine.
Nice. I don't have compel, but I have technology.
Okay. So it's a little as you start to kind of mess with it. You talk to it. Maybe you talk to it at first, and then you kind of find an access panel, start moving some things around in its back. It looks at you, and like you swear it's weeping. Like these little bits of grease are coming out of its eyes, as if it's really, really sad. You hear a buzzing coming on from inside of it. But after like a good 15 minutes of messing around with whatever the inner machinery are, it kind of stands up and begins to just sort of kind of nuzzle at you at this point, and seems to have found its new master. And so you can actually put in your equipment that this functions as a delve D6 item. Go ahead, Chuck. You got a question?
As soon as I see that the bull's distracted, I want to go loot that fucking corpse.
Okay, so you start going through it, and you find what looks like it looks like there's some oil, like you have like a packet of some kind of dark oil, so you can get a D4 technology resource, and you also find some actual like looks to be like foodstuffs, like, but it's old. You're kind of looking at the corpse, like the blood is dried. It's probably been here a while, but you do find some really old, some old dry bread and moldy, and so that'll be a D4 Haven resource.
All right.
Cool.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. And so, roll a D4, Dan.
Okay.
Okay.
A
So
2.
I'm treating that as a boon for being able to, and so that reduces the resistance. So the way forward is good.
I will
Debase
take.
is going to try to introduce her little
all
pig
the
friend to our
technologies.
new bull friend.
Okay.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay. All of you can see this pig, by the way. This is not it's just literally just sitting up there, and it's 3D, but it has like stenciling. It almost looks like a Borderlands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
something
That's
going
what I was
on.
going to ask. It looks like
Cel-shaded.
Borderlands. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
The triple pig.
So you all continue a little bit further until maybe about time. It's next to impossible to tell. We don't really have hours and days. It's more like pulses and things like after this pulse, that pulse. So it's been a while. Certainly some time since you dealt with the automaton. But eventually you come to a small camp set up in the road. You can see a fire in the distance, and you can see a woman. You think the shape of a woman from the distance at the contours, the hood, stringy hair hanging beneath the hood, and she is laboring over a pot in the middle of tiled floor of that just appears up out of nowhere, split in between the rock of the ground. As you're looking to your right and to your left, you can also see some of this same type of tiling periodically appearing between the rock, kind of like when the holodeck like goes wrong, and you can see like that stuff kind of appearing beneath it, the red and black lines, and you can see like this little reddish ooze as the heart is kind of weeping out from it. But this woman is just sitting there, and she's just talking to herself.
Good for nothing, little fools. This'll get them, yes.
Oh. I think there's more the beans in that pot.
Uh-oh.
So I want to try something as we approach.
Okay, go for it.
So Devesa has a skill called the Old Blood.
Mm-hmm.
So when I observe someone for a few seconds, I can read their aura and discern surface level emotions.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
So you don't have to. You don't have to roll a skill. It's just a automatic, or.
Yeah, it just says when you observe someone for a few seconds.
Okay. So yeah, as you do so, she is angry and desperate. You can tell that she's very angry, and it's just this aura is this of anger, not necessarily directed, but at something in particular.
So she mad, just so everybody knows.
Okay.
She mad and desperate. So approach with caution.
Good to know. I'll go up.
Okay.
Good.
And so as you come up, she turns to look at you, and there's like a hiss, like, and she looks at you, and it's a Gnoll woman, and she's got these big blue eyes that are reflecting firelight, which you know very well.
Yeah. As soon as she turns and hisses at me, I'll be like, "No, fuck off with that shit."
I am sorry. I thought you were one of those silly little burnouts down the road.
Tell me about these burnouts. I'll signal the others to come over.
Former students at the Temple of Athane. They block the way for it. They have stolen from me a most precious book.
They took your book?
Yes.
Did they now?
That's a
Book.
real ass move right there.
They seemed unintelligible. Otherwise, I'm surprised.
And
they
I can
take a book.
tell by the direction she's waving and the way she's talking. She's talking about the place that hired us to go check this out, right?
No, she's talking about further inward.
Further inward.
Yeah, and she
Oh.
says,
Worst yet, they block the path forward. They make anyone have to go the long way around.
and she looks at you and she thinks,
Perhaps if you are interested, you might aid me. We can benefit from this arrangement, and you might find a quicker way to your destination while I get my book.
Sure.
Good appealing offer.
Oh, what's so bad about the long way?
It's just long, and delving is tiring on the soul, and on the mind, and on the bones. Look at this one.
and she points at Kethras for some reason.
Look at him. He's about ready to keel over this instant. He looks dead.
How
not
dare
wrong.
you?
Not wrong.
Looks like he has died once before.
While they're talking, Devesa
got
wants
better.
to be like sniffing at whatever she's cooking to try to see like what the ingredients are. So they're kind of having the conversation. They're distracted. So she kind of wants
Made
to
out of people.
try to get a sense of what's in there.
It smells really foul and fetid. Whatever it is, it's probably not something you want to go eating.
You don't know this new character yet.
Yeah.
That's actually that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Maybe you do.
Right.
Listen, I'm ready to go deeper. So if we got a shortcut, I'm all about it. So if she's pointing us that direction, I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to start some fires.
Yeah. So
I'm ready to secrete.
mechanically, she's actually providing you guys a connection, one of those shortcuts. So if you were to
okay.
do this task, so connections are usually either they add to the resistance, but they make it better if you try to do the delve later, or they kind of thrust you into some new situation with like an adversary or another off the path kind of obstacle that you have to deal with. But it makes future delves easier.
Bonus encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all for it, and I'm not against lighting some people on fire.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll
Let's go.
just be big and large.
So she gives you all. She says she gives you like these little sticks that she's broken off. You're not even sure from what. It actually looks like wood, but there's no forest in the area nearby. But she has them. She breaks them off one by one. They're almost like things you would use for skewers, like bamboo skewers or something. And she's
Shish kebabs.
Yeah, she starts dipping them. She starts dipping them into the pot, and she hands them over to you all. And so
I'm gonna eat it without even questioning. Just-
You were supposed to stab the little freaks with it.
But I was curious. It could have been good.
I
Maybe
need you
you
to
were giving it
roll.
something
I need you to roll an endure cursed test.
Oof.
Oh, I don't have either one of those.
Standard's fine.
Oh,
so
no.
roll.
All right.
Yeah.
I really like the skill domain
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I like the
I might ask her
Pretty cool.
for an extra one, even.
Okay, so you succeed at not like regurgitating everything that you just ate, but you nonetheless are going to take 2 points of blood stress as you begin to have terrible stomach pains.
I'm okay with that. I have 2 blood protection.
Okay, perfect.
Nice.
Ooh, there you go.
Okay, all right, I'm learning.
You thought I wouldn't want to eat this.
This time it's going to be something
How
else.
does it taste, though? Is it like sour?
That's the real question. How much pepper did she use?
Right?
Just not enough salt. Little
Is that
hint
what
of
it
umami.
was? Ooh.
Yeah, it's sweet to the point that it almost makes you nauseous.
Now, just to out myself, I do have a question here.
Hmm?
She took blood stress. I have an ability that lets me take it in someone's stead.
Mm-hmm.
Would I still be able to apply my resistances
Yeah,
to
I'll
that,
say.
or do I? Okay.
No,
But
I
was
think
curious
that
about that.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
I
like
don't
your
need
guy
to in
is
this case,
basically
but-
like a tank, right? You like jump in front.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
So next time, taste tester is what you're saying.
That's,
Right,
Yeah.
So the rest of you have like a little needle with some kind of, and she says,
Stick it with them, and then preferably in their necks by a vein.
she gets this dark and crazy look on her face.
She's
I'm gonna ask her
crazy
for the
and
recipe.
excitable. Yeah.
But she leads you a little bit of the ways after dousing the fire, and she points you in the direction of it looks like a platform of some kind. There's little steps that kind of go up, and you can see that there is like a group of people. You count and you can see the silhouettes of 4 different people, and they're all, and like occasionally you see a little ember light up, and you get this wafting of smoke kind of coming in your direction. Scented, flavored smoke like strawberry and raspberry. You think they're vaping or something.
That's what I was going to ask. I'm glad you clarified.
But at this point, you're at range. Like you can get in closer if you like. But they're
I want to ask her if these are them, the people that she's been referring
These
to.
are the lazy, good-for-nothing fools.
Kethras, hand me my shoes, please.
Toss
Take-
them to you.
I'm gonna take the shoelaces off of one of my shoes. I'm gonna tie this thing to the end of one of my arrows
okay.
and ready my bow and arrow.
Okay. Do you want to actually? Do you want to shoot?
Yes. Let's
Alright.
start things off.
Okay, let's do it. So
Shoot first, ask questions never.
Let's
Yeah,
roll.
I'm ready to escalate. Yeah.
Okay, so roll. So it's a kill check.
Kill. I got a D8 for kill with
and-
this thing. A heavy draw bow.
And then I think that technology and Warren still makes sense because that's just sort of this delve is mostly a mash of tunnels and machinery.
So how do you factor a D8 in? How does that work?
That's your stress. So if you succeed, you will
Yeah,
be dealing
yeah.
a D8 stress to it.
So this is standard.
Mhm.
And so I'm factoring. I'm sorry. Which skill? Hunt? No, kill.
Kill, because you're literally trying to kill him.
I don't have kill.
Now we're in combat. Now let's talk about combat for a minute. So combat is weird and kind of interesting because there's no initiative. You just go whenever. I never go. The GM doesn't get to make attacks with their characters and the NPCs and stuff like that. I kind of ad lib and describe based upon what you all are doing. You all get free range of what you want the characters to do. It has to be like realistic. You can't say, this one stabs itself in the face again. Like that's not gonna be how it works. But like you can say this one charges.
We can let him sit there and shoot them and us do nothing, or we could participate.
Yeah.
But even in combat, like even though kill is the most common thing you might do in combat, you can still deal stress using a different skill. Like there's other things that you could potentially do if it makes sense. Like if you make an argument for it, then yeah.
How many?
So I'm going to use unorthodox methods.
Okay.
And once per session, before you roll dice to resolve an action, instead state that your result is a 6. You succeed but take stress. So I'm just gonna take an automatic 6 on this and succeed.
Okay, so you go ahead and aim carefully, and you tied something to this arrow. Is that what you said?
Well, whatever she
Poison
gave
needle.
us, that
Yeah.
needle.
Okay, the needle. Perfect. Okay, so you can go ahead and bump the die up that you would have done for damage 1 level. That's what that basically would have done. So instead of a D8, you can roll a D10. So roll a D10 for stress.
Oh,
There you go.
damn.
There you
And
go.
you watch as Zerk from the shadows at a distance, right when one of the embers pops up to give just a faint bit of light of their faces, you loose the arrow dipped in whatever poison, and it hits the first one, goes right through their neck, and then hits a second one right behind it, and 2 of the figures just tumble immediately to the ground, just completely they're. That's it. And the other 2 immediately get up and they're looking around crazily.
I secrete.
I think I just went out of focus.
You sure did.
You did.
There you
There you
go.
go.
You're back.
You're back.
Oh,
I turn to the others and just smile with my blood-stained teeth on my maniacal smile.
Okay. Again, and the other 2 are
Nicely
up in
done.
arms and shouting. One of them is like Steve, dude, are you all right? Oh my God!
Oh,
and
man.
stuff
The
like that.
frat boys, let's kill them.
Okay.
When they stand up and start yelling, like making their locations known, I want to step out with my 2 old-fashioned single-shot pistols and try and take a bead on both of them. And
Okay.
Vow.
Do you normally
Wow.
get to attack with both? Like, do you normally
I don't know. It
Okay.
just says I got 2 old-fashioned pistols.
Okay, so I would say if you're trying to hit both, we can make it
Yeah.
risky. If you want to make it just
Okay.
one, you
No,
can just
I'm
do
gonna
it
make.
standard.
Listen, man, this is risky business.
Okay, so risky check. We'll do it. It's the same deal. Kill and technology or Warren. Either one of those.
I
is
don't.
fine.
I don't have either of those.
Okay,
So just one.
so just one.
One. Let me make sure I clicked on risky.
So,
Can
that's a
it do?
one.
It'll be exciting if it does.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, you've got to be kidding me.
Chuck and I are just critting all night long.
Wow.
That's what he does to us when he's GM.
Okay, so you increase. So what's the damage die for your weapon?
It's a D8,
Okay, so that would
so that'll be a D10.
D10, but yeah, and you weren't firing the arrow, so yeah, just roll a D10.
Yep.
And you manage to get a third one that's bending down and be like, Steve, are you all right? And that one just gets a bullet right in the back of its skull, and the face explodes right onto Steve on the ground, who's definitely not okay. And there's one left that's just looking around and confused and like looks towards where the gunshot went off because it's much louder than a bow, and now sees all of you and sort of begins to wonder, like, I want to charge, but you just kill like 35
Listen,
friends.
I either
I'll go ahead and charge him
kill
instead.
with fire or I kill by fire.
Fair enough.
I'll go ahead and charge him instead.
Okay, so So you're gonna charge in.
Yeah.
So we could
Why not?
do. Let's see. Yeah, we can just do a kill check. I mean, you can charge in, or you can do something like you can do a hunt. So if this say you can say this guy turns to run away, and you can roll hunt instead, and like you're chasing after him as he tries to run away.
It depends on how it works out. I have kill and technology, so
Kill, then roll kill's fine, and then that's fine. Kill as you come running in.
standard.
Yeah.
Just basically gotta smush him, I think.
Yeah, just charging in and no stress, and you manage
Yep.
to. So roll your damage.
As
All right, you
yeah, I
What?
bump into him gently.
you slightly knock him over, and he
A warm
wobbles for a
embrace.
second, but looks at you. He's like, "Dude, why?" And who's doing what?
I'll use Grim Reaper, which looks like I can just make a ranged attack with whatever specter is bound to me,
Okay.
and
Nice.
I can do it once per situation.
Mhm.
So, what sort of? It's a kill, which I have that skill. So would that be standard 2 dice?
So
Or-
it would be a kill plus Warren or kill plus technology. Do you have either of those? I don't remember.
No.
Okay, so then
I only have
standard
Desolate.
2d10.
Okay, standard 2d10.
Jesus,
Crit
guys.
success.
Wow.
This is crazy. Crazy. All right. I don't even worry about rolling stress because whatever. So what is it you're firing?
It's not firing. It's basically I have like this ghost apparition that's bound to me, and I can send it out to do a kill shot once per, or not kill shot, but like an attack once
Yeah.
per situation.
And so whatever this manifestation does of yours, this guy right next to you, Tarnished-Steel-Endures, you just see all of the life drain from his face all of a sudden, and he just falls over, and there's now a pile of dead stoner bodies, like dropouts of college, who are just kind of chilling, smoking, and they're all on the ground. And the woman that's been coming with you, that Gnoll woman, is like, yes, yes.
You're a pleased woman.
And she starts running up, like almost like a Gnoll.
Do
Okay.
they have anything
deserve that.
worth pulling off of them?
Yeah. So as you go through, one of you actually finds some a black, what's called a black market black magic. So you find this kind of little kind of scroll that's got these weird kind of machinate, like these weird symbols on it. That is a piece of equipment. It's a D8, brutal, ranged. Those are the tags on it, and that allows you to inflict mind stress on the target. So basically,
wow.
you can do like a mind attack with that.
Is
Nice.
this a resource?
That is a piece of equipment.
I feel like someone other than me should have that.
Mhm.
Okay. Is equipment and resources specifically different?
Equipment is stuff that you actually use. So like
Okay.
your weapons have a die value. That's what you inflict. Resources are traded out. Like I don't see why you couldn't potentially trade equipment as resources later on, but
Okay.
they are a little bit different.
I'm asking specifically because one of my beats is sending away a resource that's a D8 or higher.
This is a D8, but I would say there's also a variety of smaller bit. Like when you start going through, they have these pipes on them. These colorful pipes that
Yeah.
emit this delightful odor, and we'll say that when you were attacking them, a few of them broke because they were smoking them while you guys shot them, and a couple of them broke, but two of them are intact. And combined, we'll say they're D8 occult, or you can split and have two D4 occults.
Okay.
Does
Alright.
it need to be a single D8 or just a D8 worth?
Certain things can be combined into like one. Like if it
Yeah,
makes sense,
just
you can
as a
combine.
D8 resource.
So, but I'm fine if you guys are fine with just him just taking all of like the drugs that were in there.
That's fine.
Okay.
Does anybody else want the scroll thingamabob?
No,
for first thing?
I'm
take
hunting
the
for
scroll.
technology and cursed items myself.
There is a book as well, and the woman who was with you, she greedily starts pawing.
I try to get in front of her.
We had
I
a
wanna grab
deal.
the book
We had a
first.
deal.
We did
I
have a
wanna
deal.
grab the book
We
from
got to
her
figure out the
first.
rest of our way through.
I want to try to beat her to it, and I want to look through it because I'm looking for my symbol. So it's not that I'm not going to give it to her,
Okay.
but I want to
Yeah.
see.
Don't give it to her.
Okay.
You're
So
supposed to show us a way through first.
We've altered the deal.
let's actually make this a check. Roll evade.
Okay.
So evade skill, and then tech or warren again.
Yeah. Neither one.
Okay. Just to see how quickly you get if you get there first. If you
Standard?
succeed, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do.
Oh.
So as the two of you go diving at it, she pushes you and you go stumbling all over. And as you're rolling over, you realize you come to the edge of the platform and your head goes over and you realize it is a long way down. You don't even see the ground. And something that you were carrying, some of your supplies just go over and disappear below. So you're going to take 3 points of supplies stress. You got protection for that? Nah, you ain't got protection for that, do you? Yeah, that's right.
There it is. You
Damn
found
it.
the weakness.
And so
Isn't there something we have to roll when we accrue stress?
oh god, I totally been forgetting to do that. Yes.
As you remind.
Yes.
So not
Because this
say
may be
anything.
very bad, and I want to play.
We got to
this
do
the right way.
Fallout checks. Totally forgot to play that. So unless I roll we'll start doing it from now on. So do you have 6 or so how much total stress do you have?
5.
Okay.
It's total stress.
It's total stress.
Total
Yes.
stress. Wow. All right.
Okay. I think this is the first time, and no one's probably have a lot yet, so that's my bad. We forgot about that. But yeah, you got 6, so you're good. It's if the roll is equal to or lower than your total stress, which is 5, so you're good. You're fine. Nothing happens.
Okay.
Okay. But this
But I
woman,
lose stuff.
so mark resources. Again, it's abstracted. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. But yeah, this Gnoll has picked this up.
Yes, we had deal.
And then she starts just kind of with she's trying to tuck it away, and then she's not with her claws beginning to claw away at the bodies as well.
Oh my.
Oh, before she does that, I want to get in there and I want to cut open the chest of the 2 I killed and start licking the blood off my hands and eating their raw hearts.
Okay. This one you can get. Let's see.
So I gain domains, but if it's something I killed in addition to that, I gain a skill.
So the domain for this guy is desolate, and then the skill that you would have gotten is where is it? Sneak.
Okay.
We'll say.
So I have
Is there
desolate already,
perception?
so I gain mastery and desolate. And what if I already have sneak? It doesn't say what that does.
Same
so I'm-
thing.
Wow.
Yeah, whenever you
Good
get
grief.
the thing twice. So. Okay. So what are you guys doing? You have now opened up a connection, by the way.
Oh yay.
Which means in the future, if you try to take this delve, it'll be at half resistance.
Nice.
All right. So what's next?
I guess we'll let her do her crazy BS, whatever she's doing, and let's move on.
All right.
Yeah.
And she does as you both start to leave, as you all start to leave. She just
Wait, a deal was a deal.
and so she hands over to you not a particularly interesting looking trinket, but it's some sort of strange trinket. It's got like pieces of parchment that are attached to a small piece of might be a very thin metal, and you start flipping through it, and there's all these little pictures and things on it and numbers.
Post-it note board.
And so she gives you a D6 Haven resource.
The deal was a deal. Goodbye. Pleasure to meet you.
And then she just starts doing awful things to the folks you did. Now, in addition to this, there's also a like there's that big drop off, but you also notice an open doorway off to your left that seems to continue outwards, which effectively is the connection.
Jeff, what was that scroll book thing? What were the stats on that?
That is a D8 brutal, ranged, and can inflict mind damage. Not that they had a chance to do anything. You guys will just crit the crap. It's hilarious. All right.
Does anybody mind if I grab that trinket and put it on?
Go
The
for it.
D6
That's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Just say no to drugs. That's a good one. I like that. Okay.
But I'm gonna be muttering about how she made a comment about me looking almost dead. She's like, she's dreaming on a good day.
Kethras, hold my shoes. Stop talking.
Yeah.
Okay. So you continue forward, and you start to notice a shift in some of the stonework. And that very little stone begins to show anymore. It's really just these long, rectangular, discolored panels of reflective metal and some sort of other substance. And then the mage light, that automated lighting, starts to dissipate, and you're seeing more and more of the heart seeping out from the seams. It gets darker the further you go. One of you probably lights up a torch or a lantern.
Absolutely.
And then you come across, as you continue downward, a very large pit. And looking across, it's a good 20 feet across. No real safe recourse. It's just a big hole in the ground in front of you. And not only that, but you hear something. You hear this weird kind of metallic slithering. And when you peek down, tarnished steel, you notice what look to be cables that were often used in the construction of the Vermissian, writhing about at the bottom of this pit. And occasionally, as you put your head over, you see a mouth begin to reach up and snap at you like a snake. And as it gets close, it's these tiny little squares, these scales of metal, and beneath it, this red flesh, as if it's merging the two together, giving some kind of sentience and
life to it. Yeah.
So there's a pit of vipers, of snakes in front of you, and you know that you have to get across.
Is there anything that we could? It's just an open pit, nothing like edges that we could use, or
there's rock walls and stuff like that. You can try
anything above us that we could support ourselves with, maybe, or.
When you look up, you see that the ceiling of the is uneven. There's some hanging bits from time to time. You also see more of the cables kind of looping down from above. Those don't seem to be wriggling and moving.
How far out is it?
What do you mean? How far out?
To get across to the other side?
About 20 feet.
20 feet. Eesh. I don't know what anybody else thinks. If we should try and climb across an edge, or try and lift someone up to kind of shimmy across the cables on the top.
I want to try and catch a snake.
Are they kind of moving aimlessly in here, or did they seem to be swelling around?
When you look
source,
when you look down, they seem to be like writhing over top of one another, like you found some. You're not sure exactly what they're doing. If this were real snakes, maybe it's some kind of weird mating thing going on down there. But they're metallic snakes, so it's sort of peculiar.
They're just having a good time.
Yeah, they're
just more fire. I think is the only thing I have for that. More fire.
Well, did I see one of these snakes snap up at?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, and they're fairly big too. Like they're a good, they're a good few inches in like sort of circumference around.
So like one-handed, I could snatch one.
Yeah, probably.
I want to try and snatch one. I want to try and lure it up, and I want to snatch it.
It's gonna be a risky check. So we're gonna make. Okay.
Can I assist on that?
Sure. Yeah. So we'll do compel, and then you can do either technology or wild.
Don't have any of those.
Okay, but you're getting an assist, and just remember that if you assist somebody and they get stressed, then you also are getting that stress.
I'm cool with that.
Okay. So. So 2d10 at
How many people
risky.
can assist?
As much as seems reasonable. If more people want to assist in the capturing of a snake,
No.
you're
I'll
welcome to.
add.
I could
I just want to catch one of these and eat it, cook some scales off.
Okay.
It's
Try
metal.
it. Well, it's metal over
That's true,
flesh.
over flesh.
Yeah.
I could get us past this if you guys want.
Could you get me a snack though?
This is really top priority
Get us
right
past
now.
this.
I'm gonna try and snatch one of these fuckers up then.
Okay. So
Okay, that's what I expected.
okay, so we'll say Morthos. Let me roll your fallout check. So both. All right, you're probably good. All right, so Morthos, as you reach down to try to snatch one, it instead bites you right on the hand,
Okay.
and you can feel kind of coursing into your veins this. You're not even sure what it is. Like you can see it's these reflective fangs that don't even seem to be bone or any kind of other materials.
Like syringes or
Something like that. And this red liquid begins to inject into you, and you start feeling this awful confusion and wooziness, and you're going to take 3 points of echo.
Oh, he
Stress.
got the snake,
Oh,
I guess, if
oh.
he falls backwards.
I've got some protection from echo.
Okay, subtract it straight off, like,
Yep. So I take 2 echo.
and then
Stresso.
Kethras, maybe you're like holding his like his pants, like his belt, as he's leaning down, and as he pulls back, like you take an elbow in the face, and you'll just take 3 points of blood.
Accidentally touches junk.
You take mind stress as you.
It's stress. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Morthos.
No. It bites me and it spooks me, and I little toot out.
Yeah.
So Chuck, your fallout roll is 10. Do you have? Is your total stress under 10?
Yeah.
And Joe, is your total stress under 8?
Yeah.
So you're both fine. No fallout. Yet.
Okay.
Okay. What do you want to do to get across here?
I would like to swing on a cable.
That sounds like Zerk has an idea.
Zerk, what are you thinking?
I could do something.
What do you
What's
got?
that?
I say I've made many friends down here, and I could call on something to help us get past this obstacle.
Oh.
So I have Call of the Wild. Once per session, I can summon a chaotic horde of beasts, or just one big one, that throws the area around you into bestial chaos to conceal your escape, make communication nigh impossible, or create a distraction.
Phone a friend.
Send it into the pit.
So I could, like, make some kind of call, and a beast could appear and get us, and we could just walk on by.
Or a swarm of our own snakes.
Or a metal
bull.
bowl.
Push it into the pit.
Mhm.
Call it. I can use it. I can use it once per session. You guys want to use it? Get past this obstacle? We'll go
I'm
by.
down.
No
That
stress.
seems fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So what is it you summon? You tell us.
I will summon the mechanical bull from earlier.
Okay. So the mechanical bull goes, which has been following you this whole time. It's like on a leash with who got it again? Somebody. Got it.
I got it. Yeah.
Is that Dan?
So you see the bull just gets a little ornery all of a sudden. Its eyes turn red, and it charges down into the pit, and it's like a bowling ball going through all sorts of pins. As you see these snakes fly up, and some of them are just trampled entirely and dead. Others are starting to crawl up the sides of the wall to try to get out of this pit. When you look down, this just insane bull is just stomping all over the place. Right out there. It's like that Simpsons episode where everyone just beats the snakes that's going on. And after a good 10 minutes of this, when you look down, there's probably 10 or so dead snakes at the bottom. There is a bull that is covered in heart, flesh, and scales that have like stuck to it. And a few of this ones survived and just scrambled up the walls and through the ceiling somewhere else. But the pit is now clear.
Oh
And-
my
Nice.
gosh.
Yeah.
Good
I would
job,
go-
Bull.
Well, go give me a dead snake.
So yeah, you go down there and you grab a dead snake.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one
for
dead
sure.
snake.
Everyone can grab a dead snake.
We're gonna need to hose
I'm
this guy
gonna-
down.
Call it-
Try and break some metal scales off and cook it with my fire, and
Sure,
I want to take a bite.
sure.
This is what I was helping you for earlier.
Roll an endure, wild.
I don't have either of those.
So roll.
Standard?
Standard's fine. Yeah.
All right, so I'm rolling a 1.
Okay.
Listen, I'm okay with this. You have to taste things.
So you eat it, and as you're eating it, you start to see like your eyes just begin to blink on their own accord. You're like, I don't know why this is happening. This should be
Nothing out of normal.
and you start to see little pictures of yourself in front of you. It's one of those moments where you see them moving forward towards the pit, one of them reaching down, trying to grab the snake, and then another one is closely behind it, reaching down, trying to grab a snake. A few of them are getting bit. One of them's getting pulled down in. One of them grabs the snake successfully. Another one hops completely over the pit, swinging from a cable up top. Another crawls. Just all these different versions of yourself interacting with this. And so we'll have you take 4 points of mind as you're just losing your mind a bit.
Worth it.
And then let's roll your Fallout check. What's your total stress?
Right now it's 6.
If it's 6, if this
Just
roll is
made
equal
it.
to or lower, you're okay still.
Okay, cool.
It's close. It's getting close.
If anybody else wanted a dead snake, you can take a D4 wild resource
Yeah.
or tech if you
Sure.
want to keep this. If you want to
Actually,
keep
my-
the scales instead.
The
I
beating heart I
do.
have already gives me a D6 in wild. I don't need it. Keep your snakes.
So one of the things you can do is if you
I'll
ever
take it.
use a haunt that wants wild and it has like a value of like D8 and like you can like replenish D8's worth of stuff. You can literally take 2 D4 things, combine them to make a D8. So
All right, taking snake.
I've talked you into it. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about the snakes that we have. Like they're just it's a fresh batch.
Brand
Says
new
fresh.
snake.
You said it was a D4?
By chance, do you have any
D4.
oil of the snakes?
Ooh.
You can milk a snake if you want. And get some.
That sounds like something to basically
Yeah.
do.
We'll say you milk a snake or two, and we'll
Which
give you
guidelines here?
Listen, I went to him automatically. You can dodge a snake. You can milk a snake. How do you make that a dodgeball reference?
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? So go ahead, and since you're milking it, we'll say you can
Sounds
take
risky.
D4 cursed.
Okay, I'm just saying, if you're selling snakes, you can sell snake oil.
The milk of a
Okay.
cable viper. All right. Okay, and so since you've passed, someone roll a D4 for me. There were a lot of stuff for.
Who hasn't rolled for the
Yeah.
Delta?
Yeah,
roll
someone
for
else should
it.
roll one who hasn't done it yet.
I'll do one.
Go for it. All right,
Doso.
and that will take you to the very end. Justin, that was
Oh.
literally there was 2 left, so that was perfect.
Nice.
So
Two's been the magic number.
it has been. So slowly getting. I think it had 10. What did I start with? 10, something like that. So you get past. Some of you crawl on the side. Some of you dip down into the pit, step over the dead, and climb up the other side. You watch Duvesa swing across and does her best Tarzan impression. Not that any of you know what Tarzan is in this world. And you continue to descend. And as you descend even further, you start noticing that the tunnels become wet, and you can hear dripping. And when it descends even further, the entire ground is covered with this brackish liquid. You're stepping further in, and you realize first it's ankle depth, and then it's shin depth, and then it's knee depth, until eventually you all are wandering through this wet, dark water that has a horrid stench coming up from it. And it's all basically at your waist, depending on your height. Periodically, something bumps your feet, your legs. You can kind of feel something slowly grip your ankle, give it a slight tug, and then let go and disappear. And you can see little splashes and stuff. Something, you can see a bit of the water as a fin just barely pops up, and then the ripples of it go off in different directions. And you have arrived at some large open doorway, and it's got an archway to it. You can see that there's some kind of molding, this metallic molding that's missing certain panels, and there is a sign, old, rusted, in tarnished steel. When you see it, it says Sump Station, and you have arrived at a landmark.
Yeah.
Nice.
When you peek through this large archway, you can see that the water does not seem to dry out. and there's a variety of turnoffs, tunnels, and as they're kind of going down this corridor, and you can see there's turnoffs at different locations. Far ahead, if you just look directly down this wide tunnel, you can see lights, these kind of greenish lights. Every now and then you hear like this siren sound, like coming from somewhere ahead. You can see the flashing of lights, but you can see all these different doors that are going off to your left and right as you're passing down this corridor. You can hear the sound of kind of thumping in the walls as if something's trying to pump through, but there's like you can see that the walls themselves have crumbled, revealing copper and brass pipes, some of which have been broken, and sewage is spilling down. What do you guys want to do?
I wonder if any of that's repairable.
Possibly, but there's so many pipes that have been,
Yeah.
It's not necessarily something worth your time. You do see along the way that there is occasional, as you've been traveling this whole distance, it's rarer and rarer to see a body, but you periodically do see some bodies. And as you continue forward, you can see well ahead, at the very end of this long corridor, this wide corridor with all these different doors on the left and right, you can see one of those same kind of professor get-ups, as there's a very light shading of green that's reflecting on them, and then blinks to red, and then back to green, and then yellow, and then they kind of disappear around a corner well away. So you've got this long corridor, left and right, bunch of different doors you can look at. Go straight forward, follow that figure.
Oh, I'm about that figure.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Agreed.
Do any of
Why
these
fuck around? Yeah.
bodies resemble people from the forum?
When you come across some, you don't the ones that are in the water floating around you, or that you kick when you step, you pull them up. They look like they have been gnawed on, partially eaten. But yes, very much they seem to have the same kind of coloring. It's been some of these are very old and worn down, waterlogged, bloated, but you can recognize certain symbology of the temple.
Do they get
thing.
that weird ass jaw thing?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay.
Every single one.
So they
Strange.
okay. Yeah,
Anything
definitely.
else seem wrong with them since they've seemingly gone further than the rest?
Other than that, something's been eating them, gnawing on them. Nothing,
Okay.
nothing different than what you've seen before.
Could we hazard an age range?
There's a bunch of them that are all over the place.
Okay.
You can see of different age ranges, meaning that they've been around longer than others. Some are just skeletons at this point. Others.
I meant
are
not necessarily age of the corpse, but age
long have
of
they
the
been
person upon death.
You've seen a variety along the way.
Okay.
Usually, anywhere from like a teen to 50s, 60s, 70s elderly.
Okay.
Doesn't
Okay.
seem to be affecting one generation more than the other.
Okay. Yeah. Once again, I'm kind of paying attention to what the others are looking at, but my target is the person we saw move away.
Okay, so if no one else is doing anything, you all continue to move forward. And
Yeah, I'm curious about the doors, but I won't slow us down.
okay, so you move forward, and you kind of hurry to catch up. It's hard to run because you're waist high in this brackish water, and you're bumping stuff, and things are periodically grabbing you from time to time. But eventually you make it to the end of this long corridor, and you can see that a variety of catwalks and walkways and pipes have fallen over and connected in these odd ramshackle ways, creating a series of tiers of levels as the corridor gives way to a vast and open room, that the ceiling of which is out of sight. It's so high. And when you look off to the left and you look off to the right in vast different distances, the catwalks and the pipes that are connected all seem to congregate towards this central tower in the middle of what looks to be a very vast lake of this dirty, brackish, briny, disgusting water. There's a variety of windows here and there, some of which have been beaten up, some of which have been barricaded. And you see this figure that you've been chasing moving up this ramp, and you also see it moving in the direction of another figure that is standing at the top of the ramp that this thing is moving towards. And you can see that another level up on a different catwalk, there's a few of these same other figures. This one looks different. You can see from a distance that they are dressed in these tattered, disgusting old robes. They wear something around their necks. And you can see that it's almost as if, like Duvace's pig, there's some small entity hanging from a big necklace around their neck. And they're carrying some strange contraption. And whenever that small figure hanging from the neck begins to crank that contraption, you hear that weird siren kind of pulling it forward. And then on the walkway above that, you see the same thing as some of them are starting to crank it, and different ones you see flashing lights coming from the head of the taller creature. And others have horns sticking out. When I say horns, I mean like brass trumpet type horns sticking out of their foreheads. Others look like they have like the glass panel of like a street light. Some of this looks familiar to Tarnished-Steel-Endures, as the different lights along the way. That the signal there would be like signal boxes, like repurposed signal boxes of the train. And but counting, you see that there's 2, 4, 5, maybe 6 on this walkway up above, and that figure, that sort of professorial figure, comes close, and you see the one that was closest to it, that strange necklaced person, reaches out and kind of grabs them as if they're funneling towards the rest.
Listen here. All right.
Do you want to attack it?
I don't know what's going on here, but I would feel far better if we just killed everything that's in sight right now.
Do they seem to be
Some
like
creepy fucking shit.
Do they seem to be gathering here or continuing to move deeper?
As you watch, you can see that the professorial figure moves past. The first of those strange necklace figures stops its siren, puts a hand and kind of ushers it upwards, and then like a procession, they all begin to move off to the right down this,
following the professor figure.
They're all kind of going in the direction now. It's almost like, like a game of president. The professor's at the center, and all of them are kind of making this figure around it. And they're walking away from you now, far to the right.
Well, it's good they haven't noticed us.
Yeah, I just assumed you all were just kind of peeking and looking at this point until you said otherwise.
Yeah. This is some creepy shit. Definitely peeking.
Yeah. I don't even know what to make of this.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a connection, right? As I would whisper back to everyone, there's definitely a fucking connection, because like Professor Dude versus Professor Dudes, some brackish water, and they were all leaking brackish water.
Mm-hmm. What about those pig things? Does our little pig buddy seem to be doing anything?
No, just chilling.
Would this be a wasteland?
So this sump station is technology and Warren.
Okay.
Those are the main domains that you'll feature here, but depending on what you're doing or interacting with, there could be other domains that could pop into play too.
Okay. I have the hunt skill to try and trail people.
Yeah.
Get information on them, as we want to follow them and see what they're up to.
I wouldn't oppose that.
Okay.
Not at all.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So you can pick. So go ahead and roll hunt. If somebody wants to assist him, that's fine as well. And he can be like, okay.
I'll assist him.
So the two of you step out in front. You have hunt. You have an assist die. Do you have either of those domains, Tech or Warren?
I only
Warren.
have Desolate.
All right. So put it up to 3 then, because you're the one making the roll, Kethras.
Okay.
Okay. So
Random success, but it takes stress.
So you as you start to lead the group forward up these these metallic ramps, hopping from a grating over to a pipe. You slip as you step over to this rounded pipe, and your hands drop down to catch you, and the pipe itself is steaming hot, and a small crack in it bursts and hits you in the face. You can go ahead and take 2 points of physical, so blood, as your face is just getting burned by this steam coming out of this pipe.
I really need to get some protections. Can you get protections from equipment?
Yes. Well, abilities are more common. There are certain things you can get with equipment that have tags that might help you. Like
my shield has block, which gives me blood protection.
And then there's a quality thing, like you can get like good and excellent on armor, but that doesn't actually help you with protection. It just lowers the difficulty. So it means like instead of rolling, risky rolls are now standard, or dangerous rolls are now risky. So it's not quite the same. But most of like traditional mitigation comes from abilities.
Okay. So I have 0 protection on anything. So this is gonna add up fast.
So
what tier of heart are we on right now?
This is just tier 1.
Tier 1, okay. Gotcha.
And this is where I was curious if I can use my Knight Protector, I think it is. Once per situation, when an ally is within arm's reach, I can mark stress instead of them.
Sure. I could
For
say
blood stress.
you could pull him out of the way and then try to slam your shield down to block the steam from hitting anybody. A few of it gets around and hits you, but you nonetheless manage to. But yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Awesome.
That works for me.
And 10 is over your stress total, I imagine, so no fallout there.
Right.
Yep.
So you all proceed to try to follow them, and you realize you kind of get to the relative top of this tower, at least that you can discern from the different jagged rock walkways. You follow Kethras and Zerk, and you get to the ledge on the other side of this tower, and you look down, and you can see that the other side of the tower has that same mismatched hallways, walkways, catwalks that proceed downwards to a very large flat platform of stone, and that's where this procession has reached. And you can see that the 5 or 6 different cultist-like figures are standing near the edge, but the professorial figure is standing out in front. And these figures are playing this song, they're flickering these lights, and this other figure, this smaller runt, you can't even tell, doesn't even look humanoid, it's like a golem type figure, comes like limping upwards and is carrying some kind of bucket, and you see it begin to scoop something out of the bucket and chuck it into the water, this big red pool with chunks of flesh beginning to emerge in the water in front. And there's this peculiar, unsettling mixture of horns and sounds and lights that are transpiring between all of them.
It's very off-putting.
Ceremony.
One thing I want to do too, I want to mark the professor dude that we're trailing.
Okay.
I have this ability called Marked for Death, where if I spend at least 10 minutes on this trailing of them or observing them, then if we go into combat, I'll have mastery on everything against him.
Okay. Against the professor or against one of the other things?
Against the professor.
Okay. So
I kind of want to go just push them all in and have whatever's in the
Right.
water eat them.
So you guys are, we'll call it like 2 stories up, and you would be trudging down different metal grates and pipes to get down to them.
Yeah.
There's no other way out from there for them.
Just the water that you can tell. There's also just like a basic level platform at the bottom of the tower, so with like rooms that you can access. But that's the only dry area, so without having
Well, what do we
fully
think?
explored, it's hard to tell where other exits might be.
Do we murder hobo these people?
I guess. Do we have any other options?
We could try and talk to them, but that sounds dangerous and sketchy.
I'm looking at our casters here. What do you two have up your sleeves?
I can light them on fire.
Is there any
With
sort of,
mastery.
like, non-lethal way to attack people? Like, is there any?
Yeah, resistance doesn't necessarily mean like you've depleted their HP and they're dead. It just means you've depleted their
Knocked them
willingness to
out
stay
or-
in the fight.
Yeah.
So with all your criticals and stuff in the fight you had with the stoners, it made sense to just have them die, and she would probably have killed them anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But sometimes they just might run away, or they might
Okay.
surrender, or who knows what. Depends
Okay.
on a lot of different things.
Sure. Okay.
So as you're talking about this, you see that the greenish brackish liquid of the water has changed a bit as the redness of this chum bucket has begun to permeate outward, and there's suddenly a disruption in the smooth surface of the lake as you see this long, slender fin, maybe 15 to 20 feet long, begin to emerge up out of the water, much like my thumb right now. And you can see, hey Vorluk, you can see that once the fin comes up, you can see the body comes up as well. And from this distance, it's so peculiar because it's much like the snakes that you encountered. It's you see this roundness with little lumps of this reddish flesh, like a heart beast. But then you see a sudden angular rectangular box jetting out almost painfully from some of that flesh, and that seems to be what keeps that fin aligned. So it's like a arc, and then a square, and then the fin, and then this head begins to emerge up underneath it, and you see this long jaw with these strange metallic teeth and these huge bulging dark eyes. And that professor begins to sort of step forward, and you realize there's a staircase that's moving down into the water as the figure is just kind of the jaw begins to open. Good.
How big is the box on this creature?
I would say that if you consult with Tarnished Steel, it looks a hell of a lot like what a Vermissian train car would look like.
Oh, it's
God.
huge. Okay.
It's huge.
Good grief.
So this
So is
box
he like
on
is it
its
like
back,
waiting and
keeping
he's
its
like
fin aligned?
stepping into its mouth?
He is stepping into its mouth. What were you
Oh
saying,
my
Joe?
god.
Is this, you said, so like this box on its back is like keeping its fin?
It's like coming
aligned?
up out of the skin. Imagine like having like a square just suddenly pop up out of your skin.
Hmm.
And then the fin is almost kicking up out of the windows of a tram car. It's this strange contradiction of Vermissian tech and the flesh of the heart.
Flesh. Yeah.
How can we stop him? Light him on fire. More of those.
Absolutely.
How
I
can we stop this
was
guy before being
I
consumed?
was waiting for you to all kind of simmer down in your conversation to say like, nope, I just fucking
No.
like this fucker
Light
on
it up.
fire.
Here, give me just a second. I gotta run real fast.
Go for it. We're at like two plus hours. We can hard out at any point. So if
Do
anybody's
we
got
want
hard out,
to?
we can put a pause and finish next week, or it's up to you guys.
I mean, we are at 2 hours. Do we want to just say next session we pick up with Morthos lighting fire on this weird?
Yeah.
I'm totally fine with that if you guys are.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we'll close it down there. So let's do a couple things really quick before we close the stream down. So you all had beats. So there's no XP in this game. In order to get advances, you have to achieve your beats. So how many of you were able to achieve beats?
I got one.
Okay. So
I ate a steak.
you ate a
I
steak.
got 1.5.
So what was the half?
The half was sending a requested resource. So I have a D8's worth of a resource. I just haven't
Sent it? Okay. So we'll say
There's no mailboxes where you could drop it off where we were.
Yeah.
just send the pig back. Like I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah.
So both of you take the one, and then you have the resource, and you'll probably just send it next week.
Yeah.
What
I
about
had
you, Matt?
succeeded at a task that someone else has recently failed to achieve. Would the Gnoll woman trying to get past the stoners count
Yeah.
for that?
That's good. Yeah, I would take that. Yeah, for sure.
So I did one. I'm not sure about the second one because one of them had to do with curiosity. So
the pig
first
thing for
one-
sure is good, because you got your
Yeah, that one's for
three-headed
sure. The
pig.
second one was let your curiosity lead you into danger.
Okay. When did your curiosity lead you into danger?
I
You ate
stuff
something.
on a stick.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll take that. Like, it's pretty loose. Stan, what did you complete in terms of your?
Mine were pretty vague. Establish a connection.
You did that. That's what
We
the killing the stoners allowed you to do.
Yep, and rush into danger before anyone else. I'm not sure if stepping in for the bowl counted for that or.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Yeah. Yeah, because like the attacks on the stoners, that was Zerk and Morthos
Yeah, I
first. But
was
I say,
not
yeah,
that.
stepping in and taking the bull head on like that, that's fine. I think it's cool. So what you basically get to do is for each of those minor beats that you achieve, you can get a new minor ability.
Nice.
And so you go through all your minors. You can only ever have 2 active beats at once. The minor ones are supposed to be pretty achievable. Like the goal is to try to is for like the GM to put stuff in the game to very much do it, which is why in the beginning I had pamphlets and such for Duvesa, and I had some random guy accost Kethras because it was hard to figure out how to get those 2 in the delve, so we did it in the city. So
That makes sense now.
you also want to pick to have 2 new active beats for next week. So if you completed both, pick 2 new ones. If you completed just one, replace that one that you completed with a different one. Sometimes you can complete a beat more than once. It should just read it if it tells you can take this beat more than once. Same with abilities. Some abilities you can take more than once, because sometimes they give you like skills or domains or things.
Does
like
it have to say does it have to specify that you can take it multiple times?
that. Yes. Yeah. Otherwise, you move on to the next. Major beats. So minor beats are supposed to be accomplishable in a session, and major beats usually take a couple of sessions. And then there's zenith beats, which are basically your end game for your character. So this game is all about which happens to your character first. Do you get a critical fallout, which is debilitating death or injury, or do you meet your zenith beat first? So I would say after like session 2, take a look at your zenith beats and think about how you want to move towards it, and pick minor beats and major beats that sort of make sense to sort of progress towards that and do your little story thing. A couple of you who didn't get your second beats, I had like Chuck, I have something really perfect for yours, but we just didn't make it all the way there. So it's hard to tell
fair.
with the pacing. It's the first time running it. So, but yeah. And then, so yeah, you pick that, you get your abilities. I feel like there was something else. What was the other thing that I was going to say? I don't remember. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like it.
When
it's fun.
when do like damage and things reset?
So damage, you can heal damage. Like you can heal stress a couple different ways. You can engage with haunts. Landmarks, not all of them, but some of them have haunts. Those are relatively friendly, like people or locations. Like the Temple of Athane, for instance, where you guys started, had some haunts where you could potentially trade in resources for heals to reduce some stress. Another way is some of you have certain profession abilities that allow you to heal each other.
Yeah, I can mend, heal
So that's the men's skill.
for blood.
And those are the 2 most common ways. So there's no like resting and it's not like you go to sleep and suddenly I'm better.
So we're at a
I guess
landmark
that's
now,
That's
right?
the darkest dungeon comparison then.
Yeah, we are at specifically at Sump Station.
Okay.
So we started at one landmark at the Temple of Athane, did our delve, made our connection, got to Sump Station, etc. So what do we think?
Cool. That was very good. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm digging it.
Okay. You have a weird giant jawed fish. Anybody?
Yes.
Anybody? Barracuda? Anybody?
Yeah.
No, there you go. Oh shit. Damn. All right,
There
you
it
win.
is.
The whole time.
I was there the whole time. This is the whole time. Okay.
Whole time.
I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. So just whatever new beats you guys take, just put them in your character sheet so I can prep them for next week, and we'll play next week again, unless you guys can't, right?
Cool.
I can. Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm good.
I think
Cool.
we're good.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
right.
So this week, who's got stuff? Matt, you got a Tuesday night game?
Yeah, tomorrow night should hopefully do the finale for the Dark Astral adventure that we're running, but that all depends on whether or not Evan decides to eat more witchstone and run around like a dog and eat a pound of mushrooms also. So we'll see what happens with that. And Enemy Within on Friday night at 9 p.m. Central on twitch.tv/Zweihander-RPG.
And Defenders, you got a Wednesday game, right?
We got this Wednesday. We're looking at running some tiny dungeon.
Nice.
The actual dungeon that Alan derailed when we tried to run it on Notorious DMG.
Awesome.
Friday we'll be running Joe's game Blades and Pepper Shakers.
Yep.
Saturday we'll be continuing our Dungeon Crawl Classics tournament, Crawl to Death. We're eliminated, but we're just playing it for fun now.
Cool.
And then I think Sunday, Jeff, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
We're looking at playing some Shadowrun on
Yeah.
Notorious DMG,
Yep.
which
Shadowrun.
Bert from of Steam, Steel, and Murder is going to be running for us.
Yep. I think he wants at least one more, I think.
I think so. We can figure it
We'll
out.
find somebody.
Yeah.
And then we, Adventures in Lollygagging, we have a Thursday night game on twitch.tv/ZweihanderRPG at 9 Central, 7 Pacific. We play our Ailing Isle game. We might finish it on Thursday.
Ooh,
that might be the
snap.
last one of the Ailing Isle, and then next week we'll start a brand new short story.
We're screwed.
It might be.
We're
Yeah, they're
I
totally
don't-
screwed.
I was gonna say, is
They're
it finish it in a good way or finish it in a
totally
bad way?
screwed.
Oh, we're screwed.
They're split up. One person's in prison and
Ooh.
is in dark. Like one person is like in the mansion of a crazy
Oh,
person
man.
by himself. The other two are in the middle of nowhere it's just crazy. It's fun.
That's great.
And then I think Saturday this week we're playing Mutineer Zero, our Gen Lab Alpha game, 6 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Pacific.
That's right.
And then our Monday podcast for our ongoing long running Adventures in Lollygagging Zweihander game. You can catch that too. But that's it.
I'm going to jump on a Mutineer Zero. I'm doing Mutineer Zero on Saturday as well.
Okay.
Like, I think just as you guys are ending, because that's how it worked out last time. I'm doing it over on twitch.tv/Grim and Perilous Plays
Yeah.
at 9 p.m. Central.
We
So
will raid you afterwards again. That was,
Yes,
that was
thank
perfect.
you.
It was like
There
a
you go.
wonderful
Appreciate it.
tag team. Like when Mutineer Zero to Mutineer Zero. Wonderful. Okay, so we're all done. Thanks for everybody hanging out. It was fun,
yeah.
and we'll catch you next week. Same channel, same time, and that's it. See ya.
Night.
Bye.
Have a good night.